If you've seen the most recent episode of Doctor Who, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, you might have some questions about that ending. If you haven't seen it, though, scroll or click away now because I'm about to talk about some massive spoilers in that episode. Gone? Good. So, who is Sutekh? Sutekh first appeared in Doctor Who in the 13th season of the run with the 4th Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith in the Pyramids of Mars. This 4-part episode tells about how Professor Scarman, upon discovering a previously undiscovered tomb in Egypt, accidentally sets in motion some events that may likely unleash an ancient evil upon the universe. Sutekh, an Osirian, was previously trapped by his brother Horus. In-universe, Sutekh, Horus, and all of the other Osirians become the basis for Egyptian mythology. Sutekh was trapped by his brother Horus, mostly because, well, he wanted to kill the entire universe. So because the Osirians have such a long lifespan, and because to them, if they killed him, it would make them no better than he was, the Osirians put into place a plan to keep Sutekh trapped for eternity, basically. He would be kept trapped and paralyzed by a signal beaming from a pyramid on Mars, the Eye of Horus. Sutekh still had some ability to use his powers, though, as he was able to take over the minds and reanimate the corpse of the guy who discovered him, unfortunately. Puppeting Professor Scarman and using some robots from his home planet, Sutekh planned to build a missile that could be launched from Earth to Mars to kill that signal. However, as he always does, the Doctor and Sarah Jane were able to thwart that, but Sutekh still had a backup plan. But as the Doctor always does, he had a plan to stop Sutekh. But also, as usually happens, the plan didn't quite go the way that the Doctor wanted it to. Now, the Doctor had put some explosives by the missile, hoping to blow it up, and that would be the end of the story. But Sutekh's mind being what it is, he was able to contain and trap that explosion in a time loop, meaning that it would never happen. In order to break Sutekh's concentration, the Doctor used the time tunnel that Sutekh was using to get his followers to and from his tomb in Egypt to go talk to him, basically, annoy him enough that he would break his concentration and the missile would be blown up. It worked, but Sutekh did have a plan B. Sutekh took over the Doctor and forced him to fly the TARDIS to the Pyramids of Mars with Sarah and Professor Scarman and these robots so that Professor Scarman could destroy the Eye of Horus, which he did. But the Doctor, recognizing that it takes time for radio signals to get from Mars to Earth, realized that he had just enough time to put his own plan into action. Using the time controls from the TARDIS, the Doctor was able to move the threshold of the tunnel that Sutekh was using to the far future. This meant that Sutekh would never actually be able to get out of the tunnel and would essentially age to death, even though his lifespan is so long. Or at least that's what we all thought happened. Now, of course, that is just the TV history of Sutekh. Sutekh, even though that's the only TV episode that he's in, has also appeared in both the comics and audio dramas. It's often not clear how canon the audios, the comics, the books are to the main story of the show. But one of the non-TV episodes that Sutekh appeared in was a 10th Doctor comic. Now, in this comic, Sutekh is explained to have escaped his fate of aging to death in that time tunnel by stepping sideways into the void, as seen in Doomsday. Here in the void, he wasn't able to do much either, but he had planted a seed in the mind of his son, Anubis. Sutekh was later to take over Anubis's body and set into motion a plan to get himself out of the void. He also partnered with other beings that were considered gods within the mythology of Earth and other planets. However, the 10th Doctor had something to point out. As written on the TARDIS wiki, quote, he pointed out how Sutekh had already betrayed 2 of the deities he had bargained with in the void, also noting that so long as they existed in the physical realm, the gods counted as life and were thus natural enemies of Sutekh, end quote. Of course, Sutekh's plans were foiled again, this time by a character named Dorothy Bell, who is a character in the comics, is an actress turned kind of supernatural being because of an interaction she had with an ancient artifact. She revealed herself to be a hand of Sutekh, basically one of the people who would do anything to help him get back into destroying the entire universe. But what she did is she used that status to partially merge with him, trapping him in her embrace and then throwing them both back into the void again. Sutekh also had later confrontations with the Doctor, as documented in a few Big Finish audio dramas. The Pyramids of Sutekh, the Eye of Horus, and the Tears of Isis, as well as Kill the Doctor in the Age of Sutekh. Basically, before this episode of Doctor Who aired, Sutekh was considered to be trapped in some way, shape, or form no matter what corner of canon you were looking at. As for an explanation as to why and how he got entangled with the TARDIS and how he has come back into the universe, we'll have to wait until next week to see.